I've been an obedient little wage ever since the end of high school. Like most kids with nothing in their resume, I went out in search of customer service and or just general shelf stacking jobs. One, because there's plenty of them, and two, there are girls there. When every other girl in your school knows you as either just some lonely weeb or an annoying dickhead, sometimes both. It's nice to get a fresh start at a place where no one knows you and you can create your own first impression when you know what first impressions are. Most of the jobs I've had are pretty boring. Sometimes you might see two middle-aged ladies fight over a pressure cooker, or maybe two kids racing in shopping carts through the aisles. Sometimes you might be the first employee to discover that the public bathroom has been turned into a meth lab, and when the police come to clear it out, they pat you in the back and tell you you're a sharp little detective. But mostly it's just about stacking shelves, cleaning the floors, stacking shelves again, and then signing out, only to do it again the next day. But from my time working in fast food, it's there I have the most interesting stories. They were pretty annoying to deal with at the time, but in retrospect, they're definitely good conversation starters. I think what makes fast food customers so interesting is that pretty much everyone in Australia orders fast food, much like America, and the prices there are affordable enough for pretty much anybody. And yes, anybody also means the old guy in golden booty shorts. The first time I started working fast food was also the first time the whole esche subculture started appearing. If you don't know what they are, they're kind of like Australia's version of chavs. I wouldn't call them bogans. Esches are pretty much delegated to the inner city or maybe some smaller cities around Australia. You could usually spot them if they have mullets, some kind of stripy polo top, and a sick pair of the latest Nike or Adidas shoes. Especially the Nike TNs. You usually find them hanging out in packs around some kind of parking lot. And instead of skateboards, they usually ride scooters. Who brought scooters back? That's sick. It wasn't too long ago when every kid with a scooter was beaten up and the scooter was thrown under a moving bus to flatten it. But unlike skateboards, scooters at least have handles on them so you can just sort of lean on them when you go down a hill. Well, if there's one thing I can say about esches, aside from the fact they brought back a subculture that's been dead for around 10 years in another damn country, is that it's not too late for them to invent downhill scooter bombing. I wouldn't pay to see it, but if it was free, I'd turn up. Camping chair, Mother Energy can in hand. Why not, you know? So my experience working in fast food has given me an idea. An idea to create a whole series where I tell you about all the weird and wacky events and people I've encountered during my stint working in fast food. I'm not going to tell you where I worked, but I'll tell you that if it was a burger place, like McDonald's or Hungry Jack's, which is the Australian version of Burger King. The reason why Burger King is called Hungry Jack's here in Australia is that some guy in Queensland already owned a restaurant called Burger King, and he owned all the naming and property rights to Burger King. So when Burger King tried to expand here in Australia, they couldn't use the name Burger King because it had already been registered. I don't know if the original Burger King still stands today, but, you know, since Burger King has just gone with Hungry Jack's in Australia, they've just kept the name. And if it still operates today, I'm sure that one guy in Queensland is more than happy to leech off Burger King's name and get more than a few confused customers for a few quick extra bucks. So this will be the first episode of my new series called Tales from the Fast Food Job, or My Fast Food Job. I'll decide between the two when I upload this. For the first episode of this brand new series, the pilot episode, I'm going to tell all of you about the time when the power went out. Blackouts are pretty common, right? They're especially common in Australia, especially during the summer and winter months, when the hot and cold air usually gets mixed together and creates whatever catastrophic fusion of air results in a thunderstorm and lightning strikes. I should probably mention something. Technically the power didn't go out, but the main GPS systems for like the whole of the state got knocked out. We still have power in my suburb, and pretty much all the surrounding suburbs I delivered to when I was doing delivery, but we had no GPS service, which especially sucks because I, of course, had to use a GPS system just to figure out where the damn roads are. And this happened like maybe only 2 weeks after I started doing deliveries for the first time. So I had no GPS in pretty damn severe, windy, rainy, lightning strikes everywhere kind of weather situation. And I didn't bring a jacket. So if I did find the address, I'd have to get the bags of hot and cold food and drinks and just race over to the door in the pouring rain in only like a polo shirt. The polo shirts we got at work were ventilated and were kind of made of this mesh material, which is good if you're stuck in the back of the kitchen. Trust me, that's a lifesaver. But in the rain, it offers no protection. Sure, I got a bit of a shower, but it wasn't a pleasant shower because this storm happened in the middle of the summer. So the rain was this kind of icky, kind of lukewarm. It wasn't cold, it wasn't refreshing, it was just like the world's shittiest shower. Well, if we can't find the address, usually we'd have to call the person up and say, hey, where's your address? But because the GPS and the phone systems were out, I couldn't do that. The internet was fine though. For some strange reason, everyone just kept, ordering no problem. So we kept getting orders, but we had no way to contact them, and we also had no way to, know where the damn address is. So the manager told me to just try and find the address. So of each order, I just got the food, put it in the car, drove off, and spent like 20 minutes on the main streets trying to find the address. If I couldn't find it, I'd drive back. And this day was a terrible day to drive around, because not only were the GPS systems out, but the traffic lights were out too. So each time I'd approach an intersection in the pouring rain with flashes of lightning around, I just step on the gas in the tiny little car they give me and just Tokyo drift through the intersection. If you've seen delivery cars for any kind of restaurant that isn't, somebody's own car, it's always this tiny little hatchback. You know those memes about the Ford Fiesta being the official car of, here's your pizza, sir. The reason why is they're small, they're cheap on gas, and they're at least big enough to fit a pizza inside. A burger can, unfortunately, fit in a tiny little hatchback, no problem. And for taller guys like me who have to share the car sometimes with the 5'0" girls who work the front counter, you'd have to race in the car, enter the address on the GPS when you can, and you also have to push the seat level all the way down, click the seat all the way back, adjust the back of the seat, because you've got 2 or 3 other deliveries also on the backlog to do. Okay, back to the day I had to do deliveries during a thunderstorm with no GPS. Now, most people are quite nice to delivery driver, but some people are just absolute dicks. Can you imagine the confusion of everyone's faces when, they ordered something, they paid for it, and the delivery driver just doesn't show up? Now, during the time I worked there, even though you could order online, you couldn't contact the store online. So if you tried to call back and ask for a refund, you couldn't do it because the phone systems were out. Oh yeah, and if you do manage to find the road or the street the order comes from somehow, you also have to find the little individual numbers on the mailboxes. Now try doing that in the dark, in the pouring rain. And some of these streets were just, under construction. Some of the houses weren't built yet, and some streets had this weird 2-way thing where some of the houses were on one part of a street, some were on a completely other different part of a street. So if you think you spotted number 38 and your delivery was at, 47, you just count the houses, 38, 40, 42, 44, okay, 47's on the other side of the street. So you pull up, and because the street layout in the suburbs are usually pretty stupid, you accidentally pulled up at number 5. Yeah, I did that during that day. So I knocked on the door, and this old Irish guy answered, who was just totally confused. Although the good thing about that encounter is that he discovered that the burger place does deliveries. So some nights he orders, and he orders 3 cheeseburgers and a big, large, short black coffee at 9 o'clock at night. If there's anyone Irish watching this, do Irish people usually drink coffee at the middle of the night? Is coffee a reliable hangover cure? If that's the case, then I guess the Irish are actually more responsible than Australians when it comes to their drinks. because I at least tried to find a hangover cure. So when the shift ended, I put the keys up, checked out, and I turned up for my next shift. There was a different manager there, and she pretty much called me into, like, you know, the back part of the store where all the rubbish bins are, and sat me there for like half an hour just trying to get an answer me out of what happened and why there were so many angry callbacks the next day and so many angry reviews on menu log. I mean, look, there was a storm, the GPS systems got knocked out, no one could contact anybody, and well, thankfully, she understood, accepted my version of events, but unfortunately, the burger place's official reviews on menu log went down a full star that day. Not my fault.